The drumbeat has been going on since January for the Citgo Bassmaster Tour. The best anglers in the world on a march to the Bassmasters Classic. A 10-tournament schedule culminating here in Montgomery, Alabama at the final regular season event. The last chance for a tour win for most, and for some, the last chance to qualify for the Bassmasters Classic. If you've got some flash, this is the place to show it. Our 6 contenders on this final day include Brent Chapman of Kansas, Mark Davis of Mount Ida, Arkansas, his second top 6 in a row. A solid performer, Mark Menendez, looking for his second ever tour win. Edwin Evers, he's already won once this season at Eufaula and 2 other top 6 appearances. Harold Allen, he's been at this game since 1974, still looking for his first tour win. And the man who's led this tournament the past 2 days, Oklahoma's Kenyon Hill. Jubilee City Fest, the big celebration that kicks off the beginning of summer here in Montgomery, is going on. We're celebrating the last stop on the road to the Classic.
The Citgo Bassmaster Tournament Trail is presented by Busch.
The end of the tournament trail brings us to the state of Alabama. We are in Montgomery fishing the Alabama River system for our final today. We are upstream a bit in Lake Jordan on the Coosa River, a tremendous fishery, a unique fishery. More about that a little bit later. Right now, though, Takeoff is underway. We're ready to get this thing started. Out at the Takeoff is Fish Fishburne. And Fish, what's it going to be like today?
Tommy, conditions couldn't be better. We've had wonderful weather all week. This field is only separated today by less than 3 pounds. And remember, Kenyon Hill over Harold Allen with 1 pound and 1 ounce to determine the championship.
What are you hearing, talking to the guys? Who's picking themselves to win this thing?
Well, I've got to tell you, the conditions again with Mark Davis, he told me they couldn't be better. Reason being, we've got off-colored water and a tremendous amount of current. That's going to push the fish shallow, near the targets. These guys are going to be fishing a lot of grass and a lot of boat docks.
What kind of lures, what kind of techniques are we going to be seeing today?
We're going to see spinnerbaits, some crankbaits, and a lot of flipping and pitching in those current breaks as well as the grass points.
All right, who are you going with? Who are you shadowing today?
We're going to follow our leader, Kenyon Hill. He's going to be on hole number 4, and let's see if we can find out just what he's doing.
Okay, Fish, get it cranked up there. We'll check in with you in just a few minutes. Jerry McInnes is with us as always, and Fish mentioned hole number 4, Kenyon Hill. There are 5 other holes out there, and I know you're ready to lay out this course for us.
Well, Trip Weldon said this was the greatest spotted bass fishery on earth.
He did.
And I thought that was a little bit of tournament director talk to begin with, but after watching those guys last week, it is a great fishery now. We are not going to take those 6 anglers to Jordan and just turn them loose. No, we've sectioned the lake off into 6 different areas. We will put a fisherman in each area. They'll fish for an hour and 20 minutes and then rotate. Now, each one of those holes is approximately a mile long, and other than the semifinals last weekend, these guys have never seen these waters before. Now, this is the Coosa River chain of lakes. Above us is Lake Martin, Lake Mitchell, Lay Lake, where we had the Classic last year. And below Jordan, the Coosa River turns into the Alabama River, flows right in front of Montgomery. And actually, that's where the field qualified on the first 2 days. Yes, Kenyon Hill is in hole number 4, but we're going to start in hole number 5 with Brent Chapman.
There's one. There we go. Ooh, this is a good one, too. Stay on there, baby. Yeah, there's the way to start the day. Let's get him in the boat now. Oh, come on. There's one of those big spots. Oh, stay on there. Stay on. Yeah. Gosh. Yes, all right. That's better than any of my fish yesterday. Those are the ones I need to win.
You can keep up with the score. Just watch our board down there in the left-hand corner. The winner's weight always expressed in pounds. Everyone else in terms of how many pounds they are behind. And you can see that Brent Chapman, who started 2 pounds and 10 ounces behind Kenyon Hill, has now closed the gap. He's tied for the lead. And there's old Barkley.
Barkley, Mark Menendez has got him a fish spotter along today, doesn't he?
No bones about it.
Hey, Mark's in hole number 1. And he's throwing spinnerbaits and crankbaits. We didn't see a lot of that last week. And, you know, it occurs to me that we saw Takahiro catch a fish in this hole early.
Number one. All right.
But he didn't fish up close to the bank like Mark's doing.
All right. How about that, Barks? What do you think? What do you think? The key early is to be on these little seawalls. There's a lot of current in the lake, and be on these main lake seawalls where the current has pushed these fish to the bank. Number two.
Boy, if the first few minutes of fishing in this tournament are any indication, we are going to have a rockin' day on Lake Jordan. More fish than we can show you. Well, they've had more water than they can stand the past 3 weeks here in Alabama. It is really rolling on the Coosa River. There's the Jordan Dam just below it. It's where Jay Ellis won his Bush Angler of the Year title.
And I tell you what, Menendez is still in hole number one. He's against that seawall, and boy, he's wearing them out.
That's a good one. Stay pegged, baby. Yes! That's my bonus right there, boys. There's a 3+ pounder. All right. All right. Good fish. Barks, what do you think?
Well, Harold Allen's an old friend of mine. It's hard for me not to pull for him. He's in hole number 3. It's about the first time I've seen him throwing a spinnerbait.
I'm doing a little bit different stuff here than I started out with yesterday, because a friend of mine from Texas, his partner caught 2 real good fish on this bait early yesterday morning, and we're trying for 5, and the size means a lot on this tournament. Everybody's going to have a limit.
Harold Allen fished his first BASS event back in 1974, over 227 events since that.
Boy, did you see that fish hit that spinnerbait? That's fantastic.
Number one.
I love this water condition.
Good solid.
It's off color just a little bit. It'll make the fish much more aggressive. We're going to see fish hit a little bit closer to the boat. And it's 71, 72 degrees. Perfect temperature.
Oh, there he is. That's the one we're looking for. Oh, yeah. I knew this bait would pay off. Come here, baby. Yes. Yes. Man, this is awesome. Right in front of me, he just came up there and just sucked it in. There's 2 fish right there that are better than any of my fish yesterday. Oh, man. What an incredible fishery. Two awesome bass, a nice largemouth, and a nice spot to start the day.
A good start for Chapman, for Allen, for Mark Menendez. We'll check on Kenyon Hill a little bit later. Everyone's hitting it hard today. Nobody's dogging it, except Barkley, of course. There's something big in the air on Lake Jordan. Don't go away.
The Citgo Bassmaster Tournament Trail is brought to you by Citgo, by Bush, and by Skeeter.
Championship day, the last shot at a win for these anglers on the Citgo Bassmaster Tour. We're on Lake Jordan, our 6-hole course. We're going to hole number 4. Kenyon Hill is fishing there. In the first period, he started the day with the lead. He's lost that since then. He's fishing an old road bed. This is what they call the new lake, and the old road bed crosses right in front of the dam for the new lake.
And you know what? Kenyon is a fly fisherman, Tommy.
I'd heard that.
And the reason why that is important is he is fishing these seams and these riffles like a fly fisherman would. And boy, what a dandy spotted bass he just put in the boat there.
Good way to start the day.
We'll have a look at where that seam is at, and he will try to point his boat. Hey, you know when you nymph fish, you fish upstream with a nymph. You cast it and let it run back down to you or drift back down to you. He's doing the very same thing with this jig.
Yeah, he says it's all the same except for mending the line. It's
That's
the same
exactly
process.
right. It's exactly right. And if this water was, say, 2 foot deep and you were wading it, and Tommy, I know you're a big fly fisherman, you know what I'm talking about here. You'd have to be wading in the right place and making the right cast to a trout. Well, He has to have the boat in the right place and make the right cast to these spotted bass just as well.
I don't see it.
Edwin Evers, our winner on Eufaula earlier this year. Edwin Evers has such a fabulous year. Top 6 at Toledo Bend, top 6 at Santee Cooper.
Got one.
Here's something really interesting about Edwin. He's fishing completely different than everybody else. I think before he had that strike, he had to look up from his depth finder. What he's doing is taking his boat out in a little bit deeper water and looking for fish with his depth finder. He's throwing a crankbait, a Strike King crankbait that's run probably maybe 8 or 10 feet of water.
I thought it was. Coosa River spot. Oh, there's a good one. There's a good one. There's a good one. Well, maybe not. Oh, it's a keeper. If it's a keeper, it's a good one. Golly, it's hooked outside too. Man, what is the deal? I must not like that color. Man, that one's gonna come off. Oh, no, it didn't. Got him hooked right in the cheek.
4 and 5 just suit me really well because of all the current. I mean, you know, if I could pick
Tommy, there you go, another 2-pounder for Kenyon Hill. It's early, that'll be bass number 3. And look at this prime time spot that Kenyon's picked for the first hole, number 4. He's on an old road bed. It runs right out here. It's got riprap all over it to keep it from eroding because he's got a strong current coming around the corner here. Those shad are piled up in here, just waiting to be eaten by one of those great big spotted bass.
And when you whack them big old spots, sometimes it'll flex your hook out a little bit. So you gotta fix that a little bit. All right.
That's all I was hoping to do. And I certainly didn't count on a 3-pound largemouth. That's a kick. That is a super kicker for this place. That's gonna make me real dangerous if I can get my bites this afternoon.
Mark Menendez with 4 fish, now approaching his limit of 5. You can see him still up against that seawall.
And couldn't Barkley be one of those big air dogs?
You know what? He has just the proper proportions. He's just like the world record holder, maybe not quite as intense, though.
Hey, that's great. Hey, these guys just can't quit talking about these fish.
We yummed him, Barkley. That's the meanest bass that swims right there. The Coosa River spotted bass is absolutely, it's stronger than any of those northern smallmouth. It's meaner than my spotted bass at home. It's the meanest bass that swims, period.
The Coosa River spotted bass, found only here in the state of Alabama, only in those lakes and rivers that flow into Mobile Bay. Lake Jordan, certainly one of those. Now, Mark Davis fishing in his second top 6 in a row. Big disappointment for him last time on Lake Hamilton. You know he's grinding it out today, and as we take a look at a little bit of what happened to him in the first period, you know that he had a big one. We'll update that when we come back. But Mark Menendez and his trusty partner Barkley, they have had an outstanding start, catching anything and everything that swims along that seawall. Even some things you don't really care to catch. The lead keeps changing, the bass keep biting, and the beat goes on here at Jubilee City Fest in Montgomery. We got a great race going on. Plus, we're going to check in with the Bassmasters Classic, see who's going to New Orleans. All that coming up later. Don't go away. It's the season finale for the Citgo Bassmaster Tour. We were in Montgomery, Alabama on the Alabama River system. Today's final taking place upstream on Lake Jordan on the Coosa River. Our 6 anglers, 6 finalists. They're still in the first period of fishing, and are you ready for this? They've already caught 23 fish. That's unbelievable.
We'll never make it through the day if
There's too many fish. We can't get them in. No way.
You can see they're scattered all over the lake. The only place there are no catches showing up is the canal between the upper lake and the lower lake, and that's because nobody has been fishing there.
Made it there yet.
12 of those fish have been caught on crankbaits, and I mentioned last week, I think, that a crankbait is such a good searching lure, and what I meant by that was it's heavy, so you can throw it a long way. It has a bill on it, so it will immediately dive and start fishing. It'll swim and wiggle all the way back to the boat. Now that bill, depending on what size bill you have, will carry it in from 2 to 6 or 8 feet of water, so it's covering lots of depth as well. And you know what? Menendez, Evers, Chapman, and Davis have all scored on crankbait. So Crankbait may be the way to go, and are we ever going to get out of hole number one?
We can't get out of hole number one without taking a look at what Mark Davis has accomplished today, starting himself in hole number 6 and catching most of his fish from the same spot.
Now, he's using a little fat-free shad, and it doesn't run very deep. It probably runs 4 or 5 foot, and he's using a real bright one, which is perfect in this off-color water. Mark's retrieve is, well, I'd call it a medium speed, and I want you to look at where he's looking. He watches his line as it goes into the water, and he's in constant touch with that lure. You know, when I start talking about fishing a crankbait, I don't want it to sound easy because it does take a real good feel and some concentration.
That feels better.
Once again, we're recapping Mark Davis's first period, basically the first place he pulled up on. He will end up with a quick limit from here, just hour and 20 minutes in hole number 6, and he'll jump all the way into second place. Fish number 3 now on the way at 6:41 in the morning. Think about that.
And I think that if he was in, say, the semifinal day, he'd probably move, probably look around a little bit more, but he's amongst a lot of fish now, and there's got to be another quality fish in this area.
Them things fight like a bulldog. Look at him touch his head.
A good angler is really efficient at swinging the fish into the boat. You can't do it with these fish, though. They're just too tough. You have to take your time. You've got to wear him down. Look at Mark taking his time with this fish.
This is the part that's supposed to be good for TV. We'll see, huh?
Hey, is Mark blaming us for this battle lasting too long?
Well, finally, our first period of fishing has come to an end. What a period it was. Let's take a look at our standings after 1 hour and 20-minute fishing period. 2 guys have already caught limits of fish, Mark Menendez and Mark Davis, a pound separating those 2. 3 anglers with 3 fish already, including Kenyon Hill, who's fallen out of the lead, Harold Allen, Edwin Evers, and Brent Chapman, who had a perfectly acceptable in most tournaments first period.
Right.
2 good keepers. He's dragging the rear, so what a way to start a tournament.
Well, I am not leaving hole number 4 yet in my road bed.
All right,
Simply
good.
because I have a great graphic on it.
And someone else is headed there right now.
Yeah, someone's headed there right now, and I'll bet they may set up just like Kenyon Hill did and fish it the same way. We keep talking about the seam. Well, look how he has placed his boat and looks for that seam. Now, the seam is created when the water hits the dike, pushes out in the lake, and makes this turn around the point. Actually, the eddy water back here is pretty productive too, but he wants his boat in this seam right here, and he worked awful hard to get it in that position and caught 3 fish between that point and the point on the other side.
All right, things are moving. People are changing places.
Yeah.
Now, a lot to see. When we come back, we will check in with each and every one of our anglers. We won't leave anyone out, including Harold Allen, who finds that this format gives him plenty of anxiety and challenge at the same time.
If you get lucky and something happens to you and kind of puts you in a groove starting right off, you know, it's okay. But if you're having to one here and one there and just get a bite and can't really get anything going, that's when it gets a little frustrating on you, especially when the old clock starts running down. And I mean, these fish I got, I don't think are going to hit me, do anything. Come on, Harold. I don't think they're going to hit me, do anything, but they give me a lot of confidence because I already got 3 in the boat.
This is it, the end of the road, the final stop on our 10-event season on the Citgo Bassmaster Tour. That's Lake Jordan Dam on the Coosa River just upstream from Montgomery, Alabama. And on this championship day, our 6 finalists are duking it out for the $100,000 first prize down there. On our 6-hole course, we're entering the second period of fishing. There's our scoreboard. Mark Menendez, 23 pounds, a slim 1-pound lead over Mark Davis and Kenyon Hill. That scoreboard always expresses the leader in terms of pounds, everyone else in terms of how many pounds they are behind. Here's Kenyon.
Man, his current is a big player here today, and it's so visible here in the canal that connects the 2 main bodies of the lake. But it's all over the lake, whether we can see it or not. There's current running through Jordan. Really big time right now, and the fish certainly set up and react to that current. Kenyon reacts to it as well. Boy, he really knows how to fish it.
I mean, if you look up there by that little bush, there's a little eddy and there's a seam right there. And that's, I mean, I don't know how much more textbook you can get than, you know, putting it right where he's sitting.
A well-rounded fisherman, always good at gathering information and using it effectively.
first tournament ever was the summer of '85 down in Placa, Florida, actually, spending the summer down there. And a friend of mine entered me in a buddy tournament, and she set me up with Peter T. as my partner. That was the first time I met Peter, and we've been best of friends ever since. We help each other out. If somebody needs a fish, you know, come on over and catch one. Pete and I are like family. You know, he can tell me anything, I tell him everything, and it works out very well. Two heads are always better than one, and especially when there's complete honesty involved.
Kenyon Hill his last win in '98 on the Louisiana Delta. Here's Brent Chapman.
Look at that. Oh. And we're going to start seeing a few missed fish right here, especially with the jig. And it has to do with the strength of these fish. Again, they take the lure in their mouth, and they're so strong that you can't get to the lure. If you put a jig in your hand, Tommy, and then took the line and tried to jerk on it, and your fist held onto it hard enough, you couldn't put the hook in your hand. That's what's happening here a lot. These fish are...
Oh, same thing happened to Harold right there, didn't it? Oh, no.
Oh, man, poor Harold. That was one of those 3 or 4 pound fish, I'll bet you anything. And I also bet that it probably never even touched him with a hook. And I must say that Kenyon Hill and Menendez so far are fishing flawlessly. They haven't lost any fish.
Uh-oh, 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 uh-oh. It's got me down in that thing. Hurry, come off of it. Oh, my God, look out. Stay pegged, baby. Stay pegged. Just go do whatever you want to go do.
Mark Menendez, Paducah, Kentucky, had that great start today. He's led or been close to the lead all day. If he can get this one in the boat, it would definitely help his cause.
Come here, baby. Come here, baby. Come on, baby. Stay pegged. Stay pegged. Stay pegged. Stay pegged. Stay pegged. Yeah! All right. Woo! That's the one I needed right there. What a big old spotted bass. Yes, we making up some hay now. All right, that's a better than a 3. Yes. What about it, Barks? What about it? Ah, watch out, watch out. Yes. God, I'm so excited, I can't stand it. Whew. He got me down in a big old piece of wood. And I'm only throwing 10-pound silver thread. But man, wow.
Wow is exactly right. Mark Menendez with that fish jumps up to 25 pounds. That's a 3-pound lead over Kenyon Hill and Mark Davis. He's looking good at this point.
Haven't seen Edwin Evers in a while. He's still, well, he's doing what I mentioned earlier. He's fishing away from the bank a little bit farther than the other guys. And when he's not landing a fish, you look at him, Tommy. He's watching that depth finder. He's actually looking for fish. And occasionally you'll see white buoys out in the water. He's also fishing around those white buoys. They're marking some shallow water, and he tunes into that shallow water and goes right to them buoys and starts fishing around them. Fishing that same crankbait, and he's probably in 7 or 8 feet of water.
There's a bunch of them on my locator on the idle across it.
With that fish, Edwin Evers moves into a tie for 4th place with Brent Chapman over to Kenyon Hill.
And watch that line as it passes in front of him. Tommy, he's nymph fishing.
Absolutely. He's deep nymphing right there. He's doing everything. He is mending his line a little bit.
He casts that thing upstream, catches that current, and starts working it downstream around that seam.
Get in
That
the
seam
boat.
that you and Kenyon Hill talk about. Everyone's seen a seam on the water before. You've seen it before. It's where a little bit of dimpled water or water with a roughed up surface meets some slick water, some smooth water. The seam is the line in between, and that's where the eddy's on one side, the swift water's on the other.
And of course, the feel in that kind of a situation is so important. Feel is a big thing in all kinds of fishing, Tommy, but when you start messing with the current, your feel better really be good. Hey, what is Edwin getting into here? He's hot again.
Edwin Evers has been hot all year long.
Isn't
You want to
he,
look
though?
at a guy who's going to be a player in the future of bass fishing. Think about it. He's only 28 years old, and all the things this young man has accomplished just in this year.
And those buoys that I was talking about are just about at the end of his cast. So he took advantage of those markers.
What a nice spotted bass, about a 3-pound fish. That moves Edwin Evers up to 24 pounds, and now he's just in second place behind Mark Menendez. Here's Mark.
That's a good one, too. Woohoo! Big greenhead. All right. All right. Barkley, what do you think about that one? This is gonna get cool, buddy. Uh-oh, he says another fish. He's not impressed. Look out, buddy. Right.
Well, an impressive performance so far for Mark Menendez. Now he's up to 26 pounds, but check it out. Kenyon Hill has just culled upwards. He's at 25, so 1 pound separating these two anglers. Plenty of fishing left to come. What a battle we have here on Lake Jordan at the finals of our Alabama River Tournament in Montgomery. There's Kenyon Hill moving from hole 5 to hole number 6. We'll begin the third period of fishing when we return. Don't go anywhere.
The Citgo Bassmaster Tournament Trail is brought to you by Progressive, by Mercury, and by Diamond Cut Jeans.
Oh, we got the beat here on the Citgo Bassmaster Tour, our final event of the season, Montgomery, Alabama, and this is the Alabama State Drumline. All that talent out there, very in-demand group and part of the scene here at Jubilee Weekend, big musical festival that kicks off the summer here in Montgomery. We have a huge tournament underway, the final day, 6 anglers duking it out for the $100,000 first prize. Let's take a look at the scoreboard. Mark Menendez in first place right now after 2 periods of fishing with 26 pounds. Kenyon Hill, though, has crawled back into it. The other 4 guys are not that far out of it.
Well, you know what? The scoreboard's a little misleading. Chapman and Allen don't even have a limit yet, so they can catch up in a hurry. This thing it's wide open.
Absolutely. So many things coming down this weekend, the biggest week of the year for all the races that have been going on. Last week, of course, we talked at length about the Bush Angler of the Year race. Jay Yellis sacked that up after a brave performance the first 2 days of the tournament. Congratulations to him. Now, the Citgo Horizon Award given to the angler who improves the most one season to the next. Takahiro Omori came into this tournament trailing Roger Bowler. Then he had that tremendous first day, led the field. In fact, he sacks up the $25,000 Horizon.
And what Takahiro has done to become a professional bass fisherman, Tommy, he should win an award every year.
I agree with that. Citgo Rookie Angler of the Year, it's been Mark Kyle all the way, finishes more than 70 points ahead of his nearest pursuer, Mike Reynolds.
How about his event out there at Clear Lake? Boy, that really solidified his Rookie of the Year award.
That one fish, he was that close to winning that one. And another thing we've been looking forward to all season long, setting our field for this summer's Bassmasters Classic in New Orleans, Louisiana. The field from the tour is now set. Take a look at it there. Oh, we got Alton Jones, Jay Ellis, of course, leading the way. Some other big names, including winners from the tour this year, Zell Rowland, Skeet Reese. So there's a lot to look forward to in New Orleans.
I tell you what, when the year starts, that's the #1 goal for a bass angler, win the Classic. Of course, you have to get there first. And when you look at the list, there's impressive names in the list going. There's a lot of impressive names not going. Rick Clunn didn't make it again. Larry Nixon, Denny Broward. How about this? Terry Scroggins wins the Okeechobee event. He did not make the Classic. David Wharton, Toledo Bend, he's the winner. He didn't make the Classic. So it just shows you have to really be consistent to get on that Classic list, and there's a lot of hearts broken.
Absolutely. It's unfortunate. So many of the stories are centered around guys who didn't make the Classic. Case in point, Joe Thomas of Cincinnati, Ohio, thought he had sewed up at least a tie for the last place in the field going to the Classic from the Tour. Well, he was tied with Matt Reed, and Joe Thomas wins the tiebreaker based on his totals throughout the year. But it turns out the field wasn't really set. Dustin Wilkes, everyone thought he'd finished in 8th place on the second day of fishing. It turns out he had unknowingly fished in an off-limits area. His weight is taken away. He falls battles down in the field in that tournament between Matt Reed and Joe Thomas. Reed moves up, Joe Thomas is out. And once again, very, very disappointed.
I've missed it just about every way you could miss it under every qualification process. You know, over the years, I think this is about 8 times that I've fallen out either the last day or the last tournament, you know, whether by ounces or points, or I'm always just the first guy out, and that's not a good reputation to have. I'm not comfortable with that. You know, it's almost, and I've said this to some other people over the last 24 hours, it's almost one of these deals where you go, you know, is the pain worth, are the highs worth the lows, you know? And I don't know. I don't know. It's almost overwhelming.
You hate that for Joe Thomas. On the other hand, though, we know Joe's a very strong guy and that he'll be back.
Boy, that was a toughie, man. I'll tell you what. We have an event to carry on with here today.
That's right. Yes, sir.
Tell you what, as low as Joe Thomas was, that's about how high Mark Menendez is right now. Mark, I wanted to talk to Barkley, but I guess you're going to have to do.
Well, I'll translate if you need to.
I tell you what, you guys are having a fabulous day.
It's been a fabulous day. It has been just out of hand. We started off so quick, Jerry. I set the boat down, and at 6:20, I had my limit in the boat. Shortly thereafter, cold one. And it's just been fabulous. We've really had a good day.
Okay, well, Mark, how about this fishery?
This is really special, Jerry. I've heard about this lake, Jordan, for many years and never had fished it. I fished the lake above Mitchell, and it was out of hand too. It was just a great place to fish. But Jordan is just incredible. The amount of fish that are here, the way that the lake lays out really suits my style of fishing. I like to fish crankbait, a big fat free shad on structure, and get out there on the end of those points and crank, and that's how I caught most of them yesterday. And things have changed a little bit. They've slowed some of the water down on the other dam, and I've had to make a few adjustments. I got out there on the place. I was really hoping to catch them good, and I didn't catch any with my crankbait, so I picked up a jig and started slacklining it like we do at home on Kentucky Lake, and about the second hop, I caught about a 2.5-pound spot, and 15 minutes later, I caught a 2 3/4 largemouth out there. So an angler's got every choice that he wants to make. If he wants to fish for largemouth, fine. If he wants to fish for these jungle spotted bass, I mean, these are the most awesome fish that swim, Jerry.
Well, Mark and Jerry, I hate to break in here, but check out Kenyon Hill. Now, he's just caught a keeper. Caught it on a buzzbait, and this fish right here is going to put him neck and neck with Mark Menendez. What a race we have going on. A race that also includes this guy, Brent Chapman. He's over on hole number 1 now, and he's fishing that same seawall where we saw Mark Menendez. Number 5, that's a limit for Brent Chapman, 31 years old, from Shawnee, Kansas. He and wife Bobby expecting their first child this fall, so it's an exciting year for him.
How can they come up there and hit that and not... Oh, we got it that time! Oh, did you see that fish? Oh, golly! There's a whole school of them here. Oh my goodness. There he is. Oh. If I was a different person, I'd scream right now.
Probably won't scream. That's just a minor setback in what otherwise has been a pretty solid year for Brent Chapman.
Yeah, so rough. This has just been a phenomenal year. You know, probably the most exciting thing for me is I'm going to be a dad in October. So it was really exciting up until California because I had a shot at Angler of the Year at that point. I can see how it can go either way. At California, I didn't have the best of tournaments, and instead of moving up, I fell a little bit. That was probably one of the biggest disappointments because I probably had one of my best shots at Angler of the Year. But main thing is I made it to the Classic. I'm in the finals here, and this fall I'm going to be a dad, so I can't wait.
Oh, we got it that time. That one did. Yeah.
Hate to keep talking about that seawall, but we've seen 8 or 10 fish come off it, so we better talk about it a little bit. There is so much cover around it, cover that you don't actually see. That's why all these fish are over there.
Well, I tell you what, Brent Chapman would like to keep talking about it. He'd like to stay there, but unfortunately, the third period of fishing is over. These guys have to make their next move for another hour and 20 minutes of fishing. We're going to skip forward to period number 5. Again, we have 6 finalists on the 6-hole course. Each angler spends about an hour and 20 minutes in each hole. Brent Chapman, now he's just right up there in the lead with Kenyon Hill and Mark Menendez with that last fish.
Oh, I'm gonna come back here on this one. Oh, he's... Ooh, wow, look at that big fray in my line. He almost got me. I was gonna say, I'd have bet money on that one that there'd have been a fish in there. Man, here we go. We're gonna start this game of all the same size.
Brent says that because it makes it hard to cull fish, and that's exactly what happened to him on day number 3. He had a 5-fish limit that looked like cloned fish.
Big cloned Coosa River spots, that's what it was. And look what Kenyon is into. And every time you see him start doing a figure 8 with his rod tip, you can bet it's a big spotted bass. A largemouth will not do this to you. And these fish aren't going to break your line. They're actually going to just tear loose.
Look here.
Oh, there you go now. Kenyon's fish was just holding on to that lure. Not even hooked. That's unbelievable.
There's one of those big ones. Come on, baby. Stay on there. Yes. Looky there. All right.
Boy, Brent's caught a big spot. We're seeing some dandy spotted bass now. Brent's having a lot of strikes on a jig as well as his crankbait. And boy, this has turned into a 2-man race.
Have you been watching the scoreboard? Back and forth, tit for tat between Kenyon Hill and Brent Chapman. They sort of pulled away from Mark Menendez. We got a great race going on. More fishing yet to come. Don't go anywhere.
You guys couldn't ask for a better weekend, you know what?
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Usually we like bring the bad weather with us. And we've just gotten so lucky this week.
Have you been catching any fish?
Have been catching a lot of fish today.
Well, that's what we want.
I hope I've got it's going to be real close. I hope the other guys didn't catch a lot of fish today, and I might have a shot at winning this deal. Or if I could catch me one really big one here.
Brent Chapman and his cheering section there. What a race we have going on between Brent Chapman, Kenyon Hill, and this final day of our Citgo Bassmaster last tour event of the year in the Alabama River system near Montgomery. Here's Mark Davis. He hasn't done very well since hole number 1. He caught that one. It's going to help him a little, but not much.
There he is. Golly! No! Golly! Okay, I'm sorry. That was a big one there. Sorry, guys.
Well, that's how our 5th period of fishing ends. Brent Chapman and Kenyon Hill still knotted at the top of the leaderboard, 28 pounds apiece, and Brent Chapman, boy, right there, he lost a terrific shot at the lead. Well, now we have changed into the last period of fishing. All the anglers have moved. This is Harold Allen. We pick him up in hole number 2.
The scenery really picked up, too, didn't it?
It's a little more pleasant over here.
Now I know why Harold's over in that area. And hey,
and that's why we're here, right?
I know that guy right there. There's so much commotion going on around here, and Harold has hooked a big fish underneath that. What is that back there? A trampoline?
Or an inner tube? Or... Goodness. He hasn't caught a swimmer. We're almost sure of that.
All the commotion going on.
It is a fish.
Oh, man, Tommy. I was watching all the people and the swimmers and the dogs.
Broke his rod, lost the fish. This is incredible.
Oh, yeah, he broke his rod tip trying to swing that fish over the boat. Oh, man, that's a tough one.
Well, we'll see if Harold can recover from that. We'll also see if Brent Chapman can recover from that last fish that he lost.
Oh, my gosh, there he is. Yes. Stay on there, baby. Coming back there. Oh, stay on there. Yeah, come on. Come on, come on, come on. Yes.
Nice one, and it ought to help Brent forget about that big fish he just lost a few moments ago. He now has a 1-pound lead over Kenyon Hill, but you have to remember all our weights out here on the water are unofficial, so don't book anything just yet.
I'm glad to hear you say that, Tommy. These weights are getting so close. Not only first and second, but third and fourth are so close that it's going to take the official weigh-in to sort it all out.
4 pounds.
You don't deserve to win, you pull something like that. That is stupid, stupid, stupid. That was a 4-pound spot.
Harold Allen will think about that one for a long, long time, just as sort of a combination, I guess, of bad luck and a little bit of a bad decision, huh,
Well,
Jerry?
you know what? I've said all day long, you can't swing those spotted bass over, and Harold knows that better than anybody, and I know he is really hurting over that.
Kenyon Hill now in hole number 3 for the final fishing period of the day. Not much time, about half an hour left.
Pitching that jig in a good-looking treetop there, isn't he? An old dead tree, probably 3 or 4 feet of water. Ooh, gets a little tap on the end of that. Get him out of there, Kenyon.
This could be big.
Yes, sir. This could be a big deal, I'm telling you. Fish is a little skinny, but boy, it's going to tighten it up, isn't it?
He's going to cull that one, gain a pound, and that'll tie him up unofficially with Brent Chapman at 29.
Boy, if he was only fat. If he was only like his old buddy here.
Well, Kenyon Hill has no way of knowing that he's in a tie. None of these anglers know what the other guy is doing. It's the final round of our final event of the year on the Citgo Bassmaster Tour, Lake Jordan here on the Alabama River system, not too far from Montgomery. These guys, again, don't know what the other one's doing, but they sure know what happened to them today.
Yeah, how about a little would have, should have, boy. Allen, he's probably got 23 pounds of fish, but he catches this one right here, and he may end up with 26 pounds of fish. That would make a big difference for him.
There he is.
Brent Chapman, on the other hand, is tied, but he puts this fish in the boat.
No.
And he possibly has a 1 or 2 pound lead. Harold Allen with those 26 pounds in a would have, should have situation. Then he comes along. If he lands this one right here, he's right up there, Tommy, with Chapman and Hill.
What a desolate feeling. What a day it has been for Harold Allen. Always fascinating to think about what might have been, but right now we have to think about what is coming. Maybe there's a fish-off in our future. We could have a tie at the weigh-in. We are headed back to the ramp to settle this thing. Don't you dare go anywhere.
The Citgo Bassmaster Tournament Trail is brought to you by Yamaha, by Citgo, and by Bush.
It's the Citgo Bassmaster Tour. We're coming to you from Montgomery, Alabama. Jubilee City Fest underway this weekend. Time to settle the final score of the year on the Citgo Bassmaster Tour. We turn it over to Weighmaster Fish Fishburne, coming in style in Citgo's newest addition to the NASCAR Winston Cup Series. This is the new number 99 Citgo Bassmaster Classic Taurus. With tournament director Trip Weldon making sure he had his plan for a fish-off in place in the event of a tie. First to the stage came Brent Chapman, starting 2.5 pounds behind the leader, Kenyon Hill. He has, as we've seen, gained on the field today, 16 pounds and 6 ounces.
Wait, 16!
Chapman sets a weight to shoot at, takes the lead, and will sit by and just hope it holds up.
6th place coming into this, and you've got a huge lead.
Yeah, Fish, you know, I knew I was going to have to catch a big bag of fish today, and it was just one of those days that it went almost perfect. You know, we could have put all the fish in the boat, but that didn't happen. But I got the key bites in the boat, and, you know, hopefully it's going to be enough.
Mark Davis next up. He started so promisingly with that early limit, but the big fish bite eluded him all day today.
We were needing 16 pounds and change. Wait for Davis, 10 pounds, 13 ounces, 10-13. Fantastic week.
Mark Menendez, he had all the confidence in the world coming into this final round. And like Mark Davis, his first period performance had him thinking about the championship. But in the end, he fell behind the charging Brent Chapman.
So close. You did this to me at Lake Eufaula, man.
I tell you what, it's been a beautiful day, Fish. It's just been great. I did the best I could do. I had no other choice today. I fished so hard. I had a limit at 6:20. We started at 6 o'clock.
Is it going to happen twice in a season for Edwin Evers? We're looking for 15 pounds and 8 ounces. Wait, 12 pounds, 8 ounces, 12-8.
Well, I told you we'd have a tie. We have our first tie. Edwin and Mark Menendez actually are tied for second place.
Oh, my.
Harold Allen, what can you say? You can only ask, did he have the winning fish on? Only 9-8 today, but he'll often think back and wonder what might have been. Brent Chapman and his total of 23-11 have held up against 4 of the others, but this is the one he's been dreading. Kenyon Hill led days 2 and 3. Started today with the 2-pound-plus lead on Chapman. He needs a 13-13 weight to win the championship.
Your champion, 14 pounds, 3 ounces, 14.
We'll call Kenyon Hill our current champion. He's the guy who mastered the current there on Lake George.
Boy, if the folks just knew how hard it is to win one of these events.
Congratulations once again, Kenyon Hill. Now all the attention goes to New Orleans in this summer's Bassmasters Classic. Some names to look forward to there. Kevin Van Dam won the event back in 2001. Also, Davey Height. Not everyone knows this, but last year's Bass Angler of the Year is included in this year's Classic field. Davey Height's name is important.
And he's got fire in his eyes.
Absolutely.
He's kind of had a rough season, but in New Orleans, he has a lot of experience. He has a lot of experience at winning, so you can't count him out.
Won it back in 1999. His closest pursuer that year, who's in the field this time, is Gary Klein. That's another name to look forward to. Hit me with another name, another prediction.
Well, I tell you what, how about the guys we looked at today? How about Edwin Evers? Such a versatile fisherman, a guy that really works hard. He could be your man.
Absolutely. Could be any one of these guys. Mark Davis, 2 top 6s the last 2
How
tour
about
events.
60 names?
60 names or more. It's going to be awesome in New Orleans. That's the next time we'll see you. Live coverage begins August 1st, and we'll see you then on the Citgo Bassmasters Tournament 3.
There he is. Golly. No, golly. Kenyon Hill, $100,000 in the championship.
This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPNOutdoors.com.